So these are real numbers, these calculations, these monthly payments. If you want to buy a house for this much with 7% interest, um, this is really what you would be paying per month, right around $1,597 per month. Okay, so the first question just asks you if you're paying this much per month for 30 years, how much are you going to pay by the end of the mortgage if you don't make any early payments? So every month I have to cough up $1,597. There's 12 months in a year for 30 years. So that's $574,920. That's it for question one. Okay. Question two says, how much money did you just spend in interest if you just sat there for 30? That sounds like it's bad. It's hard to come up with that kind of money. If you sat on the money and you weren't able to make any extra payments, I guess sitting on the money isn't the right word. If you didn't make any extra payments, how much money went to interest? Because in reality, you can make those monthly payments, and then when you get maybe $3,000 back in your taxes, you can put that down in your mortgage, save yourself some interest. But if we made no extra early payments, how much money are we losing to interest? So what you'd want to do, and what this, I guess I don't have to write it out. This is how much we paid after the 30 years in those monthly payments. This is how much the house cost. So we paid more than the house in interest, right? And that might seem like a raw deal, but think about it. Like, I couldn't come up with $240,000 cash before my kids graduated college, right? I need that loan, and so that's what the service that banks provide us, and other lenders, I guess. I don't know what the other lenders would be. Okay, question three. If a person decides to make a down payment of 20%, how much will their down payment be? So this is just calculating 20% of a number. So here's our house. This is how much it was going to cost us. And to find out our down payment, we just want to calculate 20% of that number. So we multiply by the decimal form of the percentage. Question four. If a person makes a down payment when purchasing a home, here's their new loan, and then we've already used software to calculate their new monthly payment. So how much are they going to spend making this new monthly payment? They've got $1,277, 12 months for 30 years, just like we had in question one, I think it was. So this is how much they spent. And so how much was interest? How much went to the bank, the fee for taking out that loan? So we had this much that we spent, and then the original loan amount was $192,000. So we got to subtract those two. We got to keep in mind, we also made that hefty down payment too, but this is just calculating interest. So by giving them $48,000 as a down payment, our new interest was $267,720. Now compare that to the interest that we had to spend before we had a down payment. We lost $334,920 over the 30 years in interest. Okay. So big difference there. What is it? I don't know if that's a question here. No, I was wondering. Oh yeah, it does it right here. Compared to the interest for the non-down payment loan, that's $67,000 in interest we saved just by giving them the $48,000 early. We were gonna have to give them that $48,000 down payment eventually to pay back the house, but by giving it at the start of the loan, it saved us a lot of interest. Okay. Let's see. I don't think the graph's here, but a quick thing you'll want to look at some point before you buy a house is the graph. Here, this blue line is interest, and then this red line is principal. Remember, principal is how much you owe on the house. So if this is our monthly payment, this is the percent our monthly payment goes to interest. At the beginning of your loan, like 90% of your payment that you give to the bank just goes to interest, and the other 10% goes to paying off what you actually owe. And around, for a 30-year loan, around, I forget what it is, year 21 or year 22, half of your money goes to interest and half your money goes to the principal. And then after that, finally, near the end of your loan, most of your money that you give the bank is going to your principal, is paying down your loan, and then a little bit still going to interest. So when you make a down payment, you get a jump on that curve. A bigger down payment gets you closer and closer to that point where they're half and half. Okay, so question five. So home loan has a monthly payment. Okay, I'd have to think about it for question five. I think this is an oversimplification of what actually happens. I'm not sure. Yeah, because of compound interest. I think there are some finer details, but I think it's only being off by a matter of a few dollars. But um, okay, so in question 5, we're talking about how much we give per month, right? For our house, we're giving them $1,597 per month. So how much of that money needs to go to interest? And so what we'll want to do is we'll want to calculate the amount of interest we owe after 30 days, or after roughly 1/12 of a year. So if you owe $240,000, the interest rate that they tell you when they say 7% or 6% or 5%, that's per year. So when they say 7%, that's how much interest you owe per year. So after 1 month, we don't owe a year's worth of interest. We've got to take that 7% and cut it into 12 equal slices, and that's how much roughly we owe after 1 month. So take your 7% interest and divide it by 12, and that's roughly the percent of interest that you owe after just 1 month. So 240,000 times 0.07, and then I'm going to divide 12 all in one step in the calculator. So after 1 month, according to this interest rate, we owe them $1,400 in interest. So that means out of the $1,597 we gave them, only $197 is going towards paying back our loan. Okay? So you can see why that down payment is important, because at first you have such a huge loan that a lot of your money goes to interest. Okay, that's the big emphasis here. This is obviously in a perfect world. If we had more money, we'd make a down payment. If we had, in a perfect world, we'd have enough cash, we wouldn't even have to take out a loan, right? But there's a balancing act we've all got to strike. Do we take out loans to buy a big expensive car? Is that worth it? Or, because at some point we need a car in rural America to certainly get from one place to another so we can work. So almost all of us have to take out a loan for a car. But how much of a loan should we be taking out? That's the balancing act, because if you take out too much loans, then all of a sudden a lot of your money is going to interest, like we've seen in this calculation. Same thing with a house. You want to get a house, you'd rather get a nice house that's not going to break down on you and cause a lot of expensive repairs, but at the same time, if you spend a lot of money on a house, you're a slave to this interest, right? We're paying a ton of our monthly payment. This first guy's monthly payment, only $197 went towards this $240,000 we owe. So after 1 month, after coughing up $1,600, this family still owes this much money on the loan. And remember, these are real numbers. Okay, this is really what you would be paying according to this criteria here.